and the terroir. There's a good reason why we can make good wines in South Africa. It's not just historical. It's not just because the Dutch landed there in 1650. We are roughly on the 33rd parallel south. And if you draw a line across the globe, you have west, from South Africa, you have Maipo Valley in Chile. You then have Mendoza in Argentina. Then you have obviously Cape Town and the South African vineyard. And then east you have Barossa in Australia. So all these regions are roughly on the same parallel. And again, it's not by coincidence that we can produce great wines there. If you look at Northern Hemisphere, it's a little bit different. The magic number in Northern Hemisphere is 45th parallel north, which is just halfway between the North Pole and the equator, and this is basically going through France. In the south, we can make wines a bit closer to the equator because the South Atlantic Ocean acts as a really big cooling mass of water which cools down our vineyard. As you know, the South Atlantic is a very cold ocean. I've never actually swum there, so the South Africans go and swim there, not because it's cold, because also the sharks are about the size of this table. So I've never set foot in the water, but it's just freezing. And all this ocean, we're about 20 kilometers away from the sea, on slopes, so we have a lot of cooling wind coming down to cool the vineyard, which allows us to make wines, with freshness, with natural acidity, with elegance. Terroir-wise, or soil type-wise, very different from Europe. We work on some very unique soils, decomposed granites, which are some of the oldest soil types on which vineyards are planted in the world. You might have heard of the Cape Floral Kingdom, which is one of 5 or 6 floral kingdoms in the world. And it's actually the smallest in the world, and it's the most diverse, which is quite incredible. And some people say that on the slopes of Table Mountain you have more plant species than in the whole of the northern hemisphere. And this just tells you about the uniqueness of the soils we work on in the Cape, completely unique in the world. Now this first red wine you have in your glass, one of 3, is our single varietal Syrah. As you know, Syrah is the same thing as Shiraz, but being French and given the style of the wine, this is much more of a Syrah than a Shiraz. It's made in a slightly different style than the rest of our reds, in that we do whole bunch fermentations, which means we ferment the grapes with the stems, which gives much more floral character to the wine, which is something you can find very much in the Northern Rhone wines or Saint-Joseph, or if you drink these wines, you can really pick up similarities. So very, very floral style of Syrah, and not really heavy, Shiraz, New World Shiraz. It's barrel fermented, but it's only goes in barrels for about 12 months, of which only 20% is new oak. We're very careful not to give it too much oak. We try and be balanced in everything we do. And I think it's a very pleasant wine. This is 2011, so it's got a bit of bottle age. It's great because it's our current vintage. We're just on the back of it. There's a little bit knocking about, not much. And this wine, for instance, for what it's worth, got a gold medal from the Decanter magazine last spring. For that kind of price point, I think it's great to have such great accolades. So, Glenelly Estate Glass Collection Syrah. Yeah, I didn't tell you why the range is called Glass Collection. It's only one of 4, and actually you had the Chardonnay. Each label has different glass on it, and this is because my grandmother has been collecting glasses throughout her life, and we have a little glass museum in the cellar. Thank you very much. The French connection. And so she's been collecting glasses. She has pieces dating back to Roman times, to very contemporary pieces. And her philosophy behind collecting glass is not so much that you drink wine from a glass, which is a bit obvious, but she's interested in the material. That both the wine and glass come from very poor materials, glass obviously is sand, so probably the poorest thing you can find. And vines grow on the poorest soils, and the poorer the soil, the better the wine. And that both of these elements, although very poor, thanks to man's talent and genius, become almost works of art in their own right. So that's her philosophy behind collecting glass, and as I said, she has really old pieces, to very contemporary glass sculptures. It's really the material she's interested in. So this range, the Oak Chardonnay and the Syrah, is named after her collection. When you come and visit us in Stellenbosch, you'll be able to see the little museum we have. She's very proud of this. So it's quite neat. So I hope you enjoy this wine, and I will be bothering you again once or twice.